Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great pleasure to welcome you to the 5th International Shipbrokers Forum organized by the International Shipbrokers Association. We're not going to take much of your time because we would love to hear what our speakers have to say. While Greek economy is facing the known difficulties, shipping continues to act as a major support of the Greek effort for recovery and eventual growth. We at the HSA are committed to developing Greece's role as a global center for maritime excellence. I would like to sincerely thank our today's speakers, which with their wisdom, experience and knowledge will give at least we try to give a reply to this year's question, what kind of crisis? Special thanks, of course, have to be given to the panel coordinator, Mr. Nigel Lowry from Lloyds list, who has been always supporting our efforts. In this year's Pioneers of the events, we have decided to honor the partner shipping country of China, which proved to be the motive power of at least the last decade, and the world's economy leader as well as in shipping. With great shipping history, commencing back to the ancient years, and of course with great growth in the 15th century, under the Emperor Chu, the Chinese built a fleet of over 100 or 120 vessels of approximately 130 to 150 meters called treasury ships, which allowed them to expand their trade routes up to East Africa, India, and Southeast Asia. There are rumors and there are some research whether these vessels actually arrived at the Australian coasts, New Zealand coast, and South American coast. Chinese recent shipping growth can be considered as a continuation of their history. In the meantime, the cultural and shipping links between our two countries can be considered as very strong, especially with the growth of the Greek orders put on the Chinese shipyards. So we're having a great link between us, and that's why we decided that the first honored country in this year's Ilias would be China. I would like therefore to ask the Chinese Commercial and Cultural Attaché in Greece, Mr. Liwei, to open the forum. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Distinguished President Pachoulis, distinguished President Ioannis, ladies and gentlemen, it is really a great honor and pleasure for me to be invited to the opening ceremony of Piraeus 2011 Symposium. At the request of the Hellenic Shipbrokers Association and on behalf of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in the Hellenic Republic, I would like to extend my warmest welcome to all of you to this symposium. Greece and China have enjoyed a long history of friendship, and the bilateral all-around strategic partnership has developed continuously in recent years. The maritime cooperation between Greece and China plays a key role in our bilateral political, economic, and cultural communication and cooperation. The Chinese people will never forget that at the beginning of the founding of the People's Republic of China, the Greek shipowners first broke the blockade and transported the urgently needed commodity and equipment to China. This had provided a strong support to the new China. The Chinese people will never forget that over 13,000 Chinese citizens were evacuated from Libya with the help of Greek government and Greek shipping companies just 4 months ago. After China's adoption of reform and opening up policy, the bilateral maritime cooperation has been developed extensively. Now, more than than 60% of crude oil and half of bulk cargo trade of China are transported by the Greek-owned ships. And China has about 80% of Greek shipbuilding and repair business. The COSCO's Piraeus container terminal project is now going smoothly, and it is aimed to be transformed into a regional transport and distribution hub in the Mediterranean and the Black Sea. I also want to say a few words about overall China-Greece economic relations besides shipping and shipbuilding. There has been encouraging news on bilateral trade between China and Greece. Last year, our goods trade reached $4.3 billion, which was an 18.5% increase over the previous year. What is more important is that the Greek export to China raised by 15% in 2009, although our total trade in that year dropped a little bit. And again, it increased drastically by 80% in 2010. That shows the Greek business society can do better to increase their sales in China, even if we are facing a very difficult situation for the moment. In the last 2 weeks, 2 business forums and matchmaking sessions were organized in Athens by the relevant organizations in 2 countries, with hundreds of Chinese and Greek business people participated. One of the forums was aimed to fulfill our commitment made during Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao's visit to Greece last year, which is to send Chinese business delegations to visit Greece in order to create opportunities for trade and economic cooperation. There were very good discussions among Chinese and Greek company representatives, and fruitful results were achieved. Last month, the direct air flight between Beijing and Athens were resumed. This is another fulfillment of our commitment made during Premier Wen's visit. The flight is operated by Air China. Although it has one stop in Munich, yet it already shortens the flight time to about 16 hours, including transit. We expect this flight arrangement, together with the newly signed agreement between 2 governments on visa simplification measures, will hugely facilitate both business and tourist travels between the 2 countries. Another commitment China has made was to set up a $5 billion fund to finance the shipbuilding by Greek ship owners in China's shipyard. Banks from the 2 countries are negotiating intensively and trying to work out the implementation scheme very soon. Although Greece is now in crisis, we believe the Greek people have all the strength and wisdom to overcome the current difficult situation. We think there exist both challenges and opportunities under such circumstances, and opportunities are much greater than challenges. So we need to take these opportunities to further enhance our bilateral cooperation in trade, tourism, investment, and especially in the maritime industry, and to bring such cooperation to a new level. Piraeus 2011 Symposium is a very important event in global shipping industry and gives us a chance to strengthen the personal and commercial relations among participants. We feel deeply obliged that China is named the first honored country by HSA this year. It shows that the trust and confidence the Greek shipping industry has in China, and it will facilitate our future bilateral economic cooperation. The Chinese embassy, especially the Economic and the Commercial Consulate's office, will make every effort to support business communities in both countries in order to achieve our objective of mutual benefit and win-win situation. Finally, I wish the symposium a complete success and all the best to all of you. Thank you very much.
Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here today, and I'll get my thank yous over with very quickly. Thank you very much to the International Shipbrokers Association for doing me the honour of inviting me to be a participant in this great event, and for the trust you've invested in me. Congratulations to the association for organising such an event every 2 years. As you know, this is one half of Piraeus 2011, the other half being tomorrow night's gala dinner. And I'm sure that in between times, the creation of such an event allows members of the shipbroking community in Greece to mix with their counterparts abroad, other guests who have flown in from abroad to be here during this week. And I think it's a very valuable event which hopefully will be continued in years to come. Thank you also to the Chinese commercial attaché, who I think in delivering his welcome opening speech went further than we have the right to expect a sort of courteous opening speech to be. I found his words, which expressed Chinese interest in Greece, to be curiously comforting at a time when probably those of us who are watching our TV screens and reading the newspapers don't really get too much by way of optimistic sentiment from that source. So it was very good to hear such a senior figure in the diplomatic mission of China, resident in Greece, talking about more opportunities than problems and challenges. I'm very lucky because I have an extraordinarily distinguished panel who's actually going to do the hard work of actually speaking to you today, and it's really just my job to do the pleasantries. I don't know who was responsible for picking the overall subject of crisis. It's quite a good one. There was, in the 1970s, long before I was born, in the UK, thank you very much. And thank you especially to those people who didn't laugh. A British Prime Minister became famous for the phrase, crisis, what crisis? He uttered those words on coming back from a vacation to the UK, to be asked by journalists about what he was going to do about the crisis, which involved strikes, it involved electricity cuts, it involved a very, very bad situation. And that was his first reaction. Crisis? What crisis? And it became so famous, I think it even became the title of a very well-known rock album, I think by Pink Floyd, Crisis, What Crisis? Super tramline, thank you. Again, that must have been before I was born. Thank you. I think crisis, what crisis is not quite the appropriate response here today either. I think possibly the best question would be, crisis, which crisis? Because there seem to be so many crises going on in parallel that it's pretty hard to choose which one to address next. And I think that's probably the wisdom of the International Shipbrokers Association in leaving the floor to their speakers to choose what angle of the crisis and our current situation in shipping and beyond that they're going to specifically address each one of them. There are so many. There's the international financial crisis. There's in shipping the overtonnaging crisis, which is threatening pretty severe crises in both the dry bulk and the tanker markets. There's all kinds of crises. Credit crisis, the crisis which is, as we all very well know, is going on in this country, which promises to be the mother of all crises. I can go on and on. Even I have some personal issues which would add to this list, but I would share those with you today.